Hello and a very warm welcome back to Eurovision 365. It's so great to have you here and thanks for being here. Czechia or the Czech Republic have had an interesting and arguably difficult journey at the Eurovision Song Contest. First taking to the Eurovision stage following the dissolution of Czechoslovakia with Mala Dama in Helsinki in 2007. I think it's fair to say in these opening years the Czech Republic failed to launch, with their debut entry failing to qualify and their subsequent two entries failing to make it to the grand final either. Following a cataclysmic disaster entry in Moscow in 2009 and landing the dreaded nil point, the Czech Republic decided to take a lengthy recess and weren't seen again until the 2015 contest in Vienna. This lengthy period of introspection for the nation, however, did little to help their chances, and yet again the country failed to qualify for the final with a lacklustre and forgettable Hope Never Dies. The following year in Stockholm could be said to be a turning point for Czechia when they finally qualified for the final with the generic pop ballad I Stand, which incidentally was co-written by Irishman and friend of Eurovision 365 Aidan O'Connor. Even though this song failed to set the scoreboard on fire in the final, this was still the best result for the country and gave them a foundation on which to build. Skipping ahead to 2018 in Portugal was where Czechia really found their groove with the youthful and thoroughly likeable Mikolas Josef singing his highly memorable track Lie to Me. This was rewarded when it came to voting time and finished up in a highly commendable 6th place. Czechia had officially turned a corner with this result and qualified again the following year and scored just out of the top 10 in the final with pop track Friend of a Friend. The formula of upbeat, easy to remember and fun to sing along to pop seems to work for Czechia. Following Benny Christo's disappointing showing in Rotterdam in 2022, We Are Dummy became a solid fan favourite and landed in many Eurovision fans' top 5s. I think this was a well-written and slickly produced track with an engaging and interesting trio, particularly Dominika, who became a recognisable spokesperson on their pre-party Eurovision tour. An advantageous draw and some impressive staging landed another spot in the final, and on Saturday night in Turin they opened the show, of course. Although not able to set the scoreboard on fire, I think it's fair to say that We Are Dummy was successful in raising the profile of Czechia at the Eurovision. This year, the nation made some interesting choices when it came to national selection, which I believe were designed to make the process as accessible to the widest possible audience. The process was live streamed during CEST primetime and was 100% in the English language. Coupled with this, Oscar-winning singer Markéta Irglová was added to the lineup and British presenters were drafted in to conduct the pre-performance interviews. There were also only 5 acts competing for the coveted spot at the contest. No multi-week 40-artist process, which would of course help to focus the attention of the audience. And crucially, the global audience were given the opportunity to vote for their favourite. So we were being invited in to give our opinion on who should represent the nation. No premium rate phone numbers, just an easy to navigate website linked through the official Eurovision app. Favourites Vesna took the spot and will perform My Sister's Crown in Liverpool. This is one of a string of political entries this year in Liverpool and is made up of an eclectic Slavic band of women. A unification of Eastern and Western Slavic sisters uniting against a common foe. The song itself is well constructed and heavily littered with political allegory and outright explicit protestation. With lyrics like "You can take your hands back," "No one wants more boys dead," "We're not your dolls, we're not your dolls." There's no mistaking what is being spoken about. The song itself has a catchy enough hook and is fairly memorable. The music video is also cinematic and carries on the themes of political corruption and mass manipulation. This, I believe, is a daring on-point entry being delivered by a talented Slavic sisterhood and for many weeks was in the top 5 of most Eurovision fans, including my own. As time has gone on and the Eurovision marketplace has become much more crowded, it has gradually slipped out of my top 10. Indeed, bookies now have this in 7th place, with odds of 3% to lift the microphone trophy. While I think this is daring and original, there are several older songs with political messages present in the contest this year. So, to answer the question that you came here for, do I think that Czechia can win the Eurovision Song Contest? I'm going to say no. While I respect what Vesna are trying to do here, this is a crowded marketplace, and as I just said, there are a litany of other songs in the competition this year addressing the situation in Ukraine in an arguably better way. To be fair to Czechia, they are slowly improving year on year, and perhaps their version of Going Up the Mountain is much more sustainable as opposed to the boom and bust seen in the early noughties with Baltic states such as Estonia and Latvia. Bookies have Czechia at a 90% chance to qualify from their bloodbath first semi-final, so I'm confident that they will sail through to the final of the competition for the second year in a row. And My Sister's Crown is an entry to the Czechia canal of Eurovision music that they should be very proud of. In a year when competition is high, Czechia are doing well to compete in the top 7 entries, and this will surely prompt more Chechen musicians to put themselves forward to compete at next year's Eurovision. I think it's great to see nations who historically haven't performed well at Eurovision to finally turn the page and start not just being in contention to qualify, but be looking at a top 10 position in the Saturday night final. From a country that wasn't even at Eurovision 10 years ago due to poor results, to looking at potential position at the top of the leaderboard, this is quite the turnaround. So that's just what I think, but I'd love to know what you think. Do you think Czechia can win this year's Eurovision Song Contest in Liverpool? I'd love to know, so please do let me know in the comments below, and I will see you. I'll see you in the next video, but until then, you take care.